It's been a little over a year since I've released my first proper video, which was on the SS America. No, we don't acknowledge these things. Stop looking! So I thought it would be a neat thing to soft reboot that video and do another rundown on the SS America and its history. Seriously, that video is criminal. I have no idea how I thought any of this was good.
The SS America is kind of that one ship that sticks out like a sore thumb.
Subscribe if you like. The SS America is one of those ships that I think is a proper stud. Seriously, just look at it. It's beautiful. But what is more interesting is the story that she has to tell, or had, because yeah, you know. Today I will be the one who is gonna tell you that story to all of you fine individuals. Well, I guess there's nothing else I got to say, so let's start with the first chapter of her existence. Seriously, I gotta make some better segues between my points. So like I've said in my other video, the America was the brainchild of the one and only William Francis Gibbs, who you may also know as the main man behind the SS United States. A true American patriot names his ships the America and the goddamn United States. What an American hero! The final characteristics of the ship roughly included the following: 25,000 gross registered tons depending on the time frame we're talking about, 220 meters of pure American steel and iron, 2 double reduction geared steam turbines which could push her to 22.5 knots, all of that for her 1,202 passengers to enjoy. Someplace in Virginia was tasked with the chore of building this above average sized ship. Yeah, I don't think people quite understand just how big some of these ships actually were because they compared them with the Titanic since it was massive. What? So let me put it to you this way. This is the MS Color Magic. This is the largest traditional car ferry in the world. Pretty ginormous ship, right? Well, this is the SS America right next to it, who's only 4 meters shorter. Not that tiny now, huh? No. Anyways, to get back to the main topic, she was launched just one day before World War II started, which was on August 31st, 1939, by the First Lady of the United States. Not the ship, the country I mean. It's a silly mistake. Kermit returns here. Nice. An interesting fact to note is that this was one of the first ships whose interior was mostly designed by women. If you ever had a feeling of coziness while looking at the interior, now you know why. Anyways, early on in her career, she had 2 short, stumpy funnels that had to be extended because of all the soot that would fall onto the passengers. The first one was a dummy, though. Look why the ships love fake funnels. I get it, it's to make the ship look grander, but here, look at her later in her career. I'd say it looks more balanced with one funnel. Shut the fuck up, you're wrong, I'm right. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Now, since everyone in Europe was hell-bent on destroying everything in their vicinity, the America served in some safer waters like the Pacific and useless shit like that. It would sail fully illuminated just to flex its sheer American might on those inferior Japanese people. That totally wouldn't backfire substantially. But inevitably she was called up to the war effort before the war even started and was renamed to the USS West Point.
She changed her name, which would later become more common than a person changing their socks.
Yeah, okay, that was a good one, me. A spy ring was brewing on board her, with 2 crewmen being part of the Dinquisne spy ring for those pesky Germans. They basically just reported movements of ships and troop transports. They were caught later on in the largest espionage conviction in US history. Jesus Christ. When America was finished being converted, it could now transport 7,678 soldiers. Yeah, I'm not sure if anyone would like to hear about her war service, though. She sailed in a bunch of convoys. What the fuck do you want me to say? I'm still in awe that she sailed with a ship called the Vampire.
War, except that she sailed in convoy with a ship called the HMAS Vampire, which just sounds like a badass ship name.
I agree, it's still a badass ship name. Once the war ended, like all ships during that time, she served to repatriate American soldiers back to the US. Name me a more American thing than an American ship built in America called the America that is transporting American soldiers to New York. What a fucking mouthful. Her post-war years were kinda uneventful as not a lot of stuff happened then. In 1952, her sister ship, the SS United States, joined her in running the Southampton to New York route. No surprise, but that ship was completely based on the design of the America herself. Well, I mean, why not copy it? It's literally flawless. Anyways, after being laid out in Hoboken for 5 months in 1963, she would begin arguably one of the most mind-numbing stories ever. She was sold to the Chandris Line. Nowadays a defunct company, but at the time was one of the biggest cruise companies in the Mediterranean. She also served as a retirement home for old ocean liners, kinda like how the Saudi League and MLS are for football. Cry me a fucking river. The America was renamed Australis and served in the emigrant run between Europe and Australia. In October 1970, a fire erupted in the ship's galley, presumably after Gordon Ramsay got pissed at some chef. It was extinguished with no casualties. In 1974, she obliterated the aircraft carrier HMAS Melbourne, causing it to sink to the bottom of the sea. Yeah, no, just kidding. They lightly hit each other and no major damage was done. She was, interestingly, the last ship that connected Australia with the UK with a direct passenger service, and was pulled out of service herself in 1977 because she was not economically viable anymore. The America was then sold to this up-and-coming company called Venture Cruise Line, whose aim was to preserve some of that sweet, sweet American heritage. She was repainted with a blue hull and blue and red funnels. No, that's not American enough. She was also moved back to New York to wait for her first cruise. But for whatever ungodly reason, her first cruise was scheduled before her refit was completed. Now, you would think that meant something like dirty floors or unfinished rooms or whatnot, but not at all! Literal piles of trash were absolutely everywhere on the ship. I'm talking mattresses, old clothes, engine oil, kitchen odor, and just general trash. How the fuck do you mess up a refit so badly? And no, actually, how the fuck do you manage to mess up a ship like this in the first place? It just doesn't make any sense. Now, after the passengers were disembarked, the logical choice would have been to take a step back and actually refit the ship properly. But fuck it, let's ram our heads into the wall and set sail again. On the same day! I'm just flabbergasted. I still can't believe that any of this happened. Yeah, they did one proper sail to Nova Scotia where the US government quickly gave an end to that colossal shit show. Now, who came knocking on the front door ready to get her back? It's the goddamn Chandler's line, baby! This time she was named the Talus and her forward funnel was removed for two reasons. The first one was because the thing was so corroded that there was no way of rescuing it. The second reason, however, was part of an ambitious plan to modernize the America silhouette and make it seem more modern. The plan was never fully completed and I'm thankful for that. Honestly, now that some time has passed, I've come to really like the America's design here. The lack of a forward funnel makes her seem more symmetrical along with the little structure tinkering on the stern. I don't see that mentioned anywhere, so I have no clue when this edition happened. Anyways, this time, her career there would not be as fruitful. She was also chartered to the Organization of African Unity, nowadays the African Union, for a conference or something in Monrovia. After a series of cruises, she was laid up in Piraeus, where she would spend an unreasonably long time there. Intercommerce Corporation bought her and renamed her to the Noga, but never moved a goddamn inch. Afterwards, in 1984, she was sold to Silver Moon Ferries and renamed the Alphados, but only under port bow, so technically she was called by two names simultaneously. Suddenly, a bilge pipe burst and caused major flooding in the America, which forced her into dry dock to have the issue repaired. It was, and she returned to her original position. Not even people on house arrest moved this sparsely, Jesus. People thought that her end came in the late 80s because she was sold to scrap, and some other stuff like her lifeboats and davits were removed from the ship, but the scrappers defaulted on their payments and noped the fuck out of there. Her final transaction happened to fucking someone who wanted to transform her into a 5-star hotel in fucking Thailand places. Yeah, I don't know either, just go with it. She of course had to go into a mandatory dry dock in order to make her ready for the trip, where it was found out that her hull is still in very good condition. Her propellers were removed, some ladders welded to her side, and her final name was given: the SS American Star. Considering that the ship had 0 propellers, she had to be towed. The trip would have her go around Africa because the America wasn't allowed to go through the Suez Canal due to her age? What? Genuinely, what the fuck does that mean? Well, are you afraid that she would spontaneously sink? Anyways, now we come to the part that everyone knows her for. Quick disclaimer though, I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna make an entire video on the wreck of the America where I will go into much further detail, so don't expect an in-depth analysis here. Just enjoy the pretty pictures. Anyways, after a tow line cable snapped, she ran aground on a sandbar on Fuerteventura in January 1994. There was a lot of debating whether or not she can still be saved, which the America swiftly answered by fucking breaking apart. She was just declared a total lost cause and left there to take on the waves. Locals quickly figured out that a lot of valuables are still on her, and a zipline was installed to more easily transport said objects. But as for the ship itself, it had to take on season after season of incredibly strong winter waves, which completely obliterated her exposed port side. The stern got the worst hand of the deal and collapsed in 1996. The bow, on the other hand, was incredibly sturdy and would remain standing for around 13 years. Of course, during the course of time, she lost a hell of a lot of pieces. I mean, just compare this photo from like 1997 or something and in 2005-ish. A bunch of the hull plates were straight up removed. In 2005, she fell onto her port side and the waves quickly started to eat her away, which resulted in a complete structural collapse in 2007. What was left above the waves slowly began to sink until like 2014 or so, when I would comfortably say that the ship completely disappeared disappeared beneath the waves. In 2019, a dude filmed what was left of her debris field, and a bunch of stuff is still recognizable, like her anchors and stuff like that. Honestly, I don't really know if that ending for a ship with a story this fucking convoluted was justified or not. On one hand, I'm sad that the ship didn't survive, because I can fucking guarantee you that this ship would have had more owner shenanigans had nature not stepped into things. But I think it's better this way, because her wreck was just beautiful.